There you are. Right, so I'm going to show you how to fly these chairs, and the first thing I have to do is open and switch on my laptop, and I have to open Nero Platinum 2017 and GIMP 2. When I have those programs running, I have to hold down on the control and I hit enter, and then 5 seconds after I shut the lid of the laptop we take off. So that's it, now we're taking off and we're flying, and I've got to be very careful not to move, because the slightest move on the laptop to the left or to the right will make us dive left or right, and the slightest move on the laptop backwards or forwards will make us go down or up. So I have to be very, very careful, and when I want to stop flying, I just pull slightly back on the lid of the laptop, and there's a bit of dust as we land, and we're down, and there we have it. That's how we do it. So the next thing I have to do is go across to my desktop and I'll show you how to make it. Hello and welcome to my desktop, and these are the two programs we're going to be working with today. GIMP 2 open source program. I'll leave you a link in the description on this YouTube tutorial to where you can download this wonderful program, and Nero Platinum 2017. I'll also leave you a link where you can download a free trial version of this program. So the first thing I need to do is click on the desktop icon for Nero, left click on video to open the program. We're going to make an advanced movie, so I left click on advanced movie and I come up to the top right hand side to import files. Left click on import file, and the file I'm going to import is this one here. So I click to select that video, and the video is here in the library. I left click and I'm dragging that onto video timeline 2. Now I'm going to play this video. This is a video of me flying the chairs, and I want to start the video from about that point there. So I stop the video. I'm going to use the scissors to cut the track. I'm going to then right click on the selection and I'm going to click remove from track and close gap, and now I can play the video to the point where I start flying the chairs. There you are. Right, so I'm going to show you how to fly these chairs, and the first thing I have to do is open and switch on my laptop, and I have to open Nero Platinum 2017 and GIMP 2. When I have those programs running, I have to hold down on the control and I hit enter, and then 5 seconds after I shut the lid of the laptop we take off. So now I've stopped the video at that point because I'm going to take a snapshot, and I'm going to use this tool here, which is left click, and what will happen is I have a snapshot here which is basically a photograph out of that frame, and because this is in 4K, this is quite a high quality photograph. Now what I need to do is downsize this program, and I've got to come to GIMP 2 and I left click, and when the program opens I'm going to come up to the top left hand side, left click, I'm going to come down to where it says open, left click, and I need to come to where it says pictures and left click. Now I know that my picture that I have just taken a still of is going to be in this library somewhere, and I'm guessing it might be that one. Yes, that's probably the one. So I click open and it loads the image into GIMP. Now what I need to do is to remove all the clutter and turn it into a green screen, and to do that I need to use this tool here, which is the lasso tool, and I'm going to mark around my image on the chair very carefully, and I'm going to come down a little bit and then across, and gradually work my way around the chair. Now this might take a little time, so I'll probably speed this up. And then as I come round to the very end and I get to the starting point, I get these little dots appearing, which means I've selected the person on the chair. And what I want to do is come over to the right hand side, right click, and then click Add Alpha Channel. That basically allows me to have a clear image. I'm going to select the eraser to remove the person on the chair, and I'm going to select a hard brush so that I can quickly rub out that part of the image. So that now is transparent, and the next thing I need to do is come to where it says select. I'm going to invert the selection. I'm going to change the colour to a vivid green. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to choose to use a paintbrush, and now I'm painting a green screen on to this photograph, and when I import that into Nero I'll be able to see through this checkered area, and I'll be able to burn onto the video this green screen. So now I need to File, top left hand side, come down to where it says Export As and left click. I need to give this a name, and I'm going to call it Test. Dot, and I've already got it there, PNG. I have to make sure that that's the correct file extension. I'm going to use this drop down just to choose to make sure that I get a PNG file, PNG. Click on that, and then I click Export, and it says Export, and I click, and away it goes. So now I have finished with GIMP for the time being, so I will downsize, and the next thing to do is to go back into Nero, and so I'm going to left click to re-enter Nero. Now I need to come up to the top right hand side to import. I need to left click and then left click on import files, and I need to find the photograph or the PNG file we've been working on, and of course this is it here. It's called test.png. So I left click and it imports that image to this library, to the picture library. So I need to bring this into the timeline above the video of me on the chairs. So I'm going to drop it and open up a video timeline 3, and I need that image to come in where I take off on these chairs. So I'm going to
the left or to the right will make us dive left or right, and the slightest move on.
So that's too early. I'll just move along again, and I will play the video until I say the right words. So I'm clicking to play. Looks like I'm flying there, so I need to go back a little bit more. I'll play from here, so I'm going to click to play.
So
and about at that point there, I want there to be an effect that I'm taking off. So what I need to do is bring this green screen over the top, and what you instantly see is from that point on the video line I get this green screen, and it's cost me nothing. I haven't had to go out and buy lots of expensive equipment, and I need that green screen to be in place until I finish flying. So I'm going to listen to what I say. So I'm going to play the video again.
Slightly back on the lid of the laptop, and there's a bit of dust as we land.
So at that point there, I'm obviously coming in to land, so I need to extend that green screen to that point. I'll just play a little bit further.
And
that's probably about the right point there. I'll settle for that. So what I now have to do is render these two images together, so that as I play this video and it gets to this point, instead of having two separate images, this one is burnt onto that timeline, and I can then use a chroma key to remove the background. So to do that I have to export, so I click export. I don't want to save this project, and I'm going to choose the quality I'm exporting in. I'm using high quality imagery, I'm using 4K, and I'm going to send this with the correct name, which is going to be testing green S, and I'm going to choose to put this into my desktop. So I'm just going to make sure by clicking on the desktop, then in new folder, and I can then save this to that folder. And then if I come down to the bottom right hand side and I click export, the file will render together. And here on the right hand side it's telling me that it's going to take about 20 minutes for that to happen. So what I'm going to do is to stop the video at this point, because it's going to take, well actually it's taking longer, it's gone up to 27 minutes, and I will come back to you when I have this ready. And now the file has rendered, I'm going to come to Nero Platinum 2017 and click. I'm going to click on Nero Video because I'm starting again, and I'm going to click on Make Advanced Movie, and then I'm going to import the video we have just rendered. And this is one that I made earlier, so I'm going to click on Import File, and this is the video that I am going to use. So I'm going to then left click and drag that video onto the timeline, and I can play the video. I'll move it along to the important bit, to where the green screen comes in, which is here. I take my time while it has a chance to catch up, which is about here. I'll just play the video.
That's it, now we're taking off.
And that is the bit where we've brought both videos together. And what I need to now do is go to Effects Palette. I need to look for keying. I'm going to left click on keying. I'm going to go to the symbol here, chroma key. I'm going to drop that onto the video. And I'm going to use this picker to choose the green. And when it has removed the background, I can then use a video which I'm going to import, and it's going to be these two videos here, and I'm going to click open to import these videos, and then I'm going to drag these two videos onto the timeline below. Now these videos are in a poor quality. They were taken with a different camera many years ago, so what I need to do is get rid of the soundtrack. So I'm going to unlink the soundtrack, and I'm going to choose both soundtracks by using Control and then remove from track. And now I should be able to see when I click to play and the green screen comes in, something in the background, but they're a bit small. So what I need to do is get hold of the edges of these images here and expand them. That's wrong, I'm on the wrong video line. Get hold of the edge and expand that image, and I'll do the same with the next one, and I can get hold of the edge of the image and expand that image. And then now when I take off,
that's it, now we're taking off and we're flying, and I've got to be very careful not to move, because the slightest move on the laptop to the left or to the right will make us dive left or right, and the slightest move on the laptop backwards or forwards will make us go down or up. So I have to be very, very careful. And when I want to stop flying, I just pull slightly back on the lid of the laptop, and there's a bit of dust as we land.
Now if you've noticed, I haven't got enough video there, so what I'm going to do is to cut this video here, because obviously at the beginning and at the end I want to take off slowly, and so I'm going to cut the video in two places, and then I'm going to come to Effects Palette, and I'm going to look for it's either camera or effects. It's camera and it's slow motion. I'm going to drag that effect on to this video timeline and onto the end as well, and you'll notice that we have this box that's opened up, and what I can do is use this scale to move that video to slow it down, and it's telling me by how much I'm slowing that video down, but it's giving me a longer video. And if I do the same on the other end, to do that I need just to get hold of that video and move it along. Sometimes you need to scale up to be able to do what you want to do. So if I come to this end and I move this along, I can now scale this end of the video up by putting the timeline on the video and selecting it, and then I can say slow motion. And now when I take off and the background starts to move, the background will move slowly, but I have slowed the video down, which then gives me more video, and it allows me then to fill that space in that I didn't have. So what we need next is a little bit of smoke and mirrors, and that calls for a background. And I'm going to click on background. I'm going to choose a colour that looks like dust, so I want a greyish background, and I'm going to drop the background into a new timeline. And we need that dust to hide when we take off, and I need it as a kind of transition where I'm taking the viewer's eyes off what's happening, and the dust needs to come in at just the time where we take off. So let's just listen to what I say and watch for the green screen. Move it along a little bit further.
That's it. Now wait.
I've got to go gradually back, and I'm using this little scroll wheel just to get to the right point. And if I just basically, that's it. So I want this to be obscured at that point there, where that timeline's in the middle. And so what I'm going to do is use this opacity here. I'm going to make keyframes, and what I want is this to be at nothing to start with. So I go nothing, and I need that at the beginning. I want it at 100% here, so that's 100%. And then if I move that along a little bit and then do a 0, I've got the fake dust effect, which is basically working like a transition, so that all of a sudden there's that transition from the room to me flying. And I had writing as well, so it was text, so I'm going to use some text. I've chosen text, and I'm going to look for what I want. I could choose any sort of text. I used fade in, so let's use that, and I'm going to put that up here above that crossfade effect. And what I would then do is click on to highlight that, and I would edit, and I would choose what type of writing I wanted. I can then choose to write whatever I want in here. So it could be danger, and when I click done, I then have that effect. Now I could make that bigger, I could write more on it. It's really just to show you that what we're going to get then is this effect, and that takes your mind off the crossfade while that's going ahead. But one of the biggest effects that we need is some sound, and we need that sound to start basically where I am going to start to take off, which I decided to be when I shut the lid of the laptop. So at that point there, I want a soundtrack. So I'm just going to use a piece of Nero music just to demonstrate, and what I need to do is to go to the audio library. I would obviously have had some sort of soundtrack, so I'm just going to choose this just to demonstrate the effect. I've got an audio line here, so that's where I would want the audio to start. Let's try that again. And then I would want the audio to finish where we land, which was going to be in about that point there. And I would then cut the audio track, and then I would remove what I didn't want, and I could come down to the bottom right hand side and I could look at the sound and decide whether it was the right sound level by listening to it. And if I wanted to make the whole track quieter, I can come to Effects Palette, I can go to Audio, and I can change this. If I reduce this, say to a minus number, say -20, I make the whole soundtrack go quieter. And that might be a good thing because I'm going to be talking while we're flying. And what I found was that while I was talking, I wanted my voice to raise over that soundtrack. And so what I did was come to the audio on the soundtrack, and what I need to do is cut this video here, move along, and I'm going to cut the video again. I could do it in another way, but this will just show you quickly how I can do that. And now this sound along here I want to be louder, so what I need to do is to come to where it says audio. If I put this timeline on so I can choose to work on this video line, I can then come up to where it says audio, and what I need to do now is make that audio louder. So I'm going to make it louder by 6, which then moves the audio track up, and I could decide to make the audio come in gently if I wanted to, but basically I'm just quickly showing you the process so that the sound level of my voice goes up, so I'm not drowned out by the sound effect of the engine. And the next thing that I need to do when I'm happy with that is to add the chair legs. Now I could use this as it is. It has a simple effect of me flying on the chairs, but I want to make it even more complicated. And so how do I do that? Well, what I need to do is go back into GIMP, and I'm going to click on the desktop icon to open GIMP, and when the program opens, I'm going to come up to, I'll just make this full size, to the top left hand side of the screen. I'm coming down to where it says open. I'm going to come down to where it says pictures, and I'm going to go and look for the picture of me in the chairs. And so which one is it? Let's just have a look. No, that's the one, so I'm going to click on open, and I've imported the photo. Now what I want to do is make these chair legs move, and so to do that I'm going to use the lasso tool, and I'm going to again use an alpha channel, which will make the picture appear clear when I'm using it in GIMP. And I'm going to show you on one of these legs. I'm going to use this leg here what I'm going to do is just mark around a curve because I want this chair leg to appear to move around, and I'm going to move my way down carefully around the leg. I have to do this on all of the legs individually, so I'm just going to show you how to do it on this one leg. And now if I use the select tool and I invert my selection because I want to get rid of the background, I'm going to use the eraser, and I'm going to size up the brush size so that I can quickly, let's just use a hard brush, rub out the background, and what we have left is one chair leg. Now if I exported it like that, I'd find it hard to work with. What I want to do is move that chair leg so it's bang on in the middle of this diagonal, and to find the middle there's a scale here, it goes from 0 all the way up to the very end, and I know roughly where the middle is, and it on this particular image is there on that scale, but I can see where that scale is at the top as I move my cursor, but I also have one on this side, and I know that at that point there, just under the 1000, 3 notches below, is the center of this screen. And so what I'm going to do now is use a tool here that will allow me to get hold of that chair leg and reposition it so that it is absolutely bang on the middle of the screen. And so I just watch the top and the bottom and move the mouse until I'm in exactly the right spot, and then I let go. Now when I spin this image, it's going to spin from that point, so I can come to File, I can go to Export As, I can export this image as test. I'll call it testing 1, and it's got the PNG file extension .png, and I will just drop down and just make sure that I also do .png here. So now when I export this image, and it's testing 1, and I say export, and now I have to repeat the process another 7 times because obviously we have 8 chair legs. So to save time, I'm going to leap into the future. Welcome back to the future, and you've joined me in Nero Platinum 2017, and I've almost completed my project. And so let's just show you how far we have got now. We have video timeline 1 here, where we have some video, and the top of the video we've got video timeline 12. You've got to remember that we have 8 legs, and that's taking up quite a lot of this these timelines, because each chair leg, these chair legs here, it's got chair leg 3 there, is taking up a video timeline, and what I need to do is find a spare one, and I've left one here, video timeline 4, and I need to go and import that chair leg. So I click on import, left click on import file, I go and look for that file, and you remember it was called testing 1, I left click and it imports that file, and it's here in the picture library. Because it's a picture, it'll turn into a video, but at the moment it's just a still, so I'm going to left click and drag that onto the timeline. And what I need to do is position that chair leg in the right position. It's right in the middle of the screen here. What I need to do is to left click and drag it into the correct position so that it is exactly at the point where it's going to rotate at the point where the cursor is. Now I've got to put it in the right place, and to do that I can use as a guide previous chair legs, and I know that these chair legs are further up. There's one chair leg 3 on video timeline 7, so I'm going to make this picture play for the same length of time. So it's going to start at that point, and if I go back up, I know that this chair leg plays to that point there. And I'm going to move down, and I'm going to make this picture the same length. There we go. Now what I need to do now is get it to move, and then instead of it being a picture and just sitting there doing nothing, it's going to move. And to do that, I'm going to come to where it says Effects Palette. I'm going to come across to where it says Rotate. I'm going to left click. I'm going to click on the box, Use Keyframes. I'm going to select a smooth movement to start with, and what I need to do is rotate that leg to where I want it to be. And if I get hold of the edge of the screen here and move the cursor around until I get the right, that's it, you see out that little curvy shape, I can then hold down on the left mouse button and rotate that chair leg till it's in the right position, and then I let go. And I have a dot here. I have to find the right place for that dot to be, and it's when all of those chair legs, all the rest of those chair legs are in the right position. So I can move along the timeline with the cursor, and when I get to the point where I think the chair legs are in the right place, which is going to be there, I move that keyframe to that point. And now I can look at this number, and it's minus 76, and so I can move along until I see those legs starting to come down, and when I see those legs starting to drop, I know I'm in the right place. So I'm just gently moving along. They're starting to move there. So I need another keyframe there, and it was minus 76, I seem to remember. 76, and I click, and so from that point there to that point there, the leg is going to stay stationary. And before that, it's going to be down, it's going to start lifting, it's going to be up, it's going to be up all the way along to this keyframe, and then from there it's going to move down. But it's maybe a little bit behind the other chair legs. So what I need to do now is play it a little bit.
And there's a bit of dust.
And when I think that all the legs are down, I want this chair leg to be down, and so I need another keyframe. And if I come up here and remove the numbers and put in a 0 and click, the leg should be back to where it started. And so when I play that video, I will have these legs all moving up at the same time. So I'm just going to click to play just to see what effect I have.
That's it, now we're taking off and we're flying, and I've got to be very careful not to move, because the slightest move on the laptop to the left or to the right will make us dive left or right, and the slightest move on the laptop backwards or forwards will make us go down or up. So I have to be very, very careful. And when I want to stop flying, I just go slightly back on the lid of the laptop, and there's a bit of dust as we land. And we're down.
Now another way to make it easier to get these dots in exactly the right place, or these keyframes, is to use as a template other video lines. Like here, this chair, I could use that as a reference point, and if I move down on the timeline, I can see that I actually guessed the right place for that leg to be down. If I then look at the first one where it starts to go up, I can see that I am slightly out. So if I wanted them to be perfect, I could just get hold of that keyframe and move it along, and now it would play at exactly the same point as the other leg starts to drop. So I can tune my video so that it all coordinates and works together. And basically that's how you do it. And once you're happy with what you have, then you would want to export it. So you would come down here and left click to export. I don't want to save this project, so I'm going to say no. I would choose where the video was going to be sent to once it had been rendered, and I would click export, and that's basically it. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for watching.